There he is. There we go. There's a nibble.
You're on. You know, the fish that are out there, I mean, there, like you say, there could be anything out there, but we were expecting that there were going to be some really big amberjacks.
Oh man, that's a big one. That's cool, man.
You know, I hadn't caught anything, and Brandon's like, "You want me to try that?" Like, yeah, sure. See if you can show me how to do it. I don't think that they're biting the jig today. Oh my God! Oh my God! It worked!
First
It worked!
drop, dude! Wow! Oh! Yeah! Come on! Oh! He ate it! He ate it! He ate it! Nice, baby! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about! I thought you said you had to...
Got him. Relax.
Oh! Dude, he just ripped my boat off! Oh! Awesome! Look at that big boy! Woo!
The Hawks Cay Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, with Captain Tom Rowland and Captain Rich Tudor.
One of my favorite days that we've had this season is going out with Brandon Simmons, and he took us out right away, put us right on the meat. We were catching permit. It was fantastic. We were playing around with this active target and really learning how to dial that in. And man, talk about grand slam home run. I mean, we go out there, we catch a lot of permit right away, really fast, and we've got the rest of the day. And we've got Brandon Simmons here, who's a fantastic guide. He guides here at Hawks Cay. He takes families out, he takes experts out, he takes people inshore, offshore, and we've got an incredible day. We're ready to try something else at about 10 o'clock in the morning. And Brandon just takes us on a little tour.
And the best part about it, the weather was only getting better.
Yeah.
The wind it was coming down. It was just, you know, the sun was out. It was just a gorgeous day, and really the options were open. And you know, he decided he wanted to, you know, just kind of run about 6 miles up the road and check some of these deeper wrecks. You know, we hit this Thunderbolt wreck, which is in about 150 feet of water, and got those permit really good. And then he wanted to go out there and look at some of these other wrecks that were out in more like 250 feet of water. And as you move to the different depths, different species of fish. He knew that this wreck was probably going to have some of the big amberjacks, and then who knows what else. That's the cool thing about the wrecks. You never know what you're going to find.
What are we going to do here?
We are going to drop a big live bait, a big goggle eye, see if we can get some of these amberjacks. And if you want, Tom, drop that vertical jig, see if we can get one on there too.
All right.
We're about 250 feet down. These fish have been hanging at like 200.
We roll into this new wreck out there in the deeper water, and Brandon gets us rigged up here. You know, we had a couple deep drop rods there. We had a nice big, about an 8-ounce lead on there, and he wanted to drop down with live baits. He also had the vertical jig rods ready. And what was interesting is we made 2 or 3 drifts, and it just wasn't working. We were not getting the bites. I mean, we were marking the fish. We knew they were there, you know, and with the electronics, that really, you know, gives you the confidence. The fish are here. We just need to do something different. So Brandon was like, you know what, you know, we got this bay boat, we got a trolling motor, let's anchor on the trolling motor up ahead of the wreck, right where we know those fish are, and try to drop it right down to them. He got us up there, we marked the fish on the electronics, we got up just ahead of him where he thought the drift would, you know, allow our baits to get right down into him, and pushed the button, anchored the boat on the trolling motor, and that first drop. There he is.
Here he is.
There we go. There's a nibble.
You're on.
All right, why don't you hit the manual and we'll drift right off.
Yeah, buddy.
Now that was interesting. I let it way down, and then I started reeling it up some. He bit while I was reeling it up. As soon as it got in that strike zone, that was the key, is seeing, you know, they weren't all the way on the bottom. They weren't at the 250, 300 feet deep. They were about halfway up, about 150. And I'm just kind of feeding it down nice and slow, and boom, finally feel that thump. And sure enough, man, I mean, that fish is all you want.
You know, the fish that are out there, I mean, there, like you say, there could be anything out there. It could be anything. But we were expecting that there were going to be some really big amberjacks. Amberjacks are outstanding game fish because they do what game fish do. They fight hard, they bite aggressively, but you know, for some people, they fight too hard. Kind of like the Jack Crevalle. The Jack Crevalle and the amberjack, they are exactly what so many people want in fish. You can catch a lot of them, they fight really hard, they're big, but then once you actually hook into it, it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to pull that thing in again. I mean, they literally fight that hard that people call them reef donkeys, or they call them, you know, they don't want to catch them because they fight so hard. In my opinion, that's what we're out there for. Like, I like them. I think they're cool fish, and they really get big.
Wow. I think you figured out he's hooked this time.
It's a group race for you today.
Should be an excellent time for me to eat the other half of my sandwich, but I already ate it.
What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm trying to say I don't think you're going to land that anytime soon.
You might be right. Oh, there it is. Getting a lot heavier all of a sudden. Maybe you just figured out he's hooked this time.
It definitely helps if you've got some really good gear, and those reels we were using were fantastic.
Yeah, that's the best setup I've ever had as far as catching, a big fish on light tackle. That's this new Daiwa Saltiga conventional reel. We had 40-pound braid on there, and then it was on the St. Croix, this medium light rod Mojo series. The rod is so light, the reel is so light, but the reel has so much power that, I don't know how much drag pressure I was putting on, but all I wanted to hold. But it was such a nice, smooth setup that it was just a pleasure to fight that big fish.
Here comes Brandon.
Oh man, that's a big one.
Nice one.
That's cool, man. That is cool.
He comes with a handle.
Woo. Oh, that's a fatty.
So there's a bunch of those down there.
Okay.
Oh my God.
That's what we're looking for.
That is a big one.
Oh, man.
We told Brando we wanted big fish. We got him.
We got
King
him
of the
today.
Jacks. Good work, fellas. I'm gonna get one of those on the jig. He'll be all right.
Look at him go.
He's going.
Look at him go. Wow.
Okay, we're gonna try this again.
But hey.
Hey!
We did it!
Look at that. He's got the spasmodic. Oh my God. Oh my God, it worked.
First drop, dude.
The Hawks K Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Hawks K. Find what lures you. Lowrance, America's #1 fish finder. Waypoint, the destination for outdoor entertainment. Mercury Marine, go boldly. St. Croix Rods, the best rods on earth. And by Ameritrail Trailers. Daiwa. Marathon. Black Rifle Coffee Company. Salt's Gone. Power Pole. And Reflex Boat Decking.
We get set up again on this, we got our anchor down. We didn't have to move, we're drifting. It's basically you're drifting by there, and by the time you pass the wreck, you've got to run up half a mile or a mile and re-drift.
Yeah.
And especially if you catch a big fish, you might drift 2-3 miles down there. This was beautiful. We had literally stand right there in our spot, so all we had to do is put on another bait.
Yeah, we had the live baits down, we had the vertical jig, we had pretty much everything covered on that wreck. They are thick at 150.
There we go. I got a nibble. Man, that's the best mark yet. Wow.
All the way down to 200.
All right, Brando,
really.
get you one too. That was a pinfish. Yep. Yeah, we dropped it right down their throats there. Whew. Man, that is incredibly effective. Wow, look at that mark. That's amazing. When it comes to those jacks, if you don't have the right gear, you're gonna hurt yourself. I mean, they are fighting. This fish, as I'm fighting him up, every time I'd get him up about 10 yards, he'd take 20 back. I mean, it seemed like it was a losing battle for a while. I kept, pushing that drag up a little bit higher. It just started to slow him down enough to where I was gaining. Maybe I was only gaining a yard at a time, but it was just really a slow battle. That is a lot of fish. This is pretty cool, though. Take the anchor off, now we drift off the wreck so they don't get us hung up.
I mean, it wasn't very long ago. It seems like that we'd be out there with a giant rod and reel, heavy, with the monofilament, and the monofilament was so much thicker than the braid that the reel had to be so much bigger. And now, as you go to the braid, you can fish these smaller and smaller and smaller reels. That makes it much more fun for people that aren't used to that kind of gear. And if you are used to that kind of gear, this is like a day off. Like you can go out there and you can catch these huge fish on light tackle, and it's just perfect for it.
There he is. Sweet. Well, that one didn't take quite as long.
Didn't take long at all. Makes a difference when it's 20 pounds smaller.
Wow. The interesting thing about those jacks is that they do release well in that deep water. A lot of the fish you catch out there, if you bring them up from 250, 300 feet of water, you're not going to release them. It's going to be hard because they've immobilized, whereas the jacks, man, you know, we get a good look at them, check them out, and then just right down the water, and you're watching them kick away and get down to the bottom. So they really are a great catch and release fishery.
Oh, when they come up that fast, that's reasonable. I might catch another one. Nice.
All right.
There he goes.
Awesome, man.
That's pretty cool.
made it.
Pretty cool, buddy.
Very good.
Nice.
Way to
Put me
go.
to work.
Kind of like you said with a permit, you said an interesting thing. I thought there was, you know, that the permit are kind of a mid-water column fish. I never thought about it like that, but you know, if they're in 10 feet of water, maybe they're hanging around 5. If they're in 100 feet, they're hanging around 50. I mean, I never thought about it like that, but I guess the amberjacks are similar to that. You know, they do the same thing. You know, occasionally you get them up to the surface, and occasionally they're down the bottom. But I think that mid-water column is pretty typical from an amberjack as well.
Yeah, and you know, no matter how aggressive those amberjack are, you still got to be where they are. And if you're fishing below them or above them, you're not in them. I was having a hard time catching them because I think I was below the fish. I was using the jig, and I'm fishing it a certain way that, and I've had a lot of success fishing it that way, in just one really hard pull, and then another really hard pull and reel, and another really hard pull and reel, and then drop it back down. And you know, I hadn't caught anything. And Brandon's like, you want me to try that? Like, yeah, sure. See if you can show me how to do it. Kind of like, I don't think that they're biting the jig today. Well, he starts out with a totally different, borderline spastic technique. Look at that. He's got the spasmodic. Wow, I was totally doing that wrong. Oh my God. Oh my God, it worked.
First drop, dude. Wow.
I was not.
First
I didn't
drop.
have nearly enough action on it.
Man.
Literally, his first drop. We had done hundreds of drops.
Yeah.
His first drop, right up. I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, and
He thought it was luck at first, but then we asked him to try it again, and he caught another one.
on the
So
next drop.
there is such a thing as a home field advantage, and you know, Brandon fishes there all the time. He knows what those fish like, and he showed us. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch you guys catch all these fish.
I'm ready to watch you catch one.
I feel like, Tom, you're always the one that's catching fish, though.
Yeah, you
It's
gotta
our
take
turn, all
you gotta
right?
take a day off every now and then, you know?
The one thing about those jacks is they don't give up. They will fight from all the way from the bottom at 250, 300 feet of water, all the way to the surface. Where a lot of the other fish, the grouper, mutton snappers, others, is if you hook them down there, they'll get up to about halfway, and then they start to immobilize, and they'll start floating, and they basically give up the fight. So if you can beat them on that first half, you got it kind of easy on the second half, but not with the jacks.
Right.
It's all the way from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, they fight so hard that people don't like to catch them, right? Like, I mean, it's like, I want to fight a big fish. I want a fish that's really hard to catch, and then, okay, well, here you go. Oh, but not that one.
Not that hard.
You know, like that's too hard.
That's a good one. That is a trophy. What was called a trophy fish. Oh, he's better than barely hooked, but it's not like the last one. Get ready for this one. Put the weight belt on.
Whoa!
No, he was perfectly hooked is what he was. Perfectly hooked.
Nice.
And out.
He's a dark one.
You're good. Woo!
Healthy looking fish right there, man.
It's full of them like that down there.
It is. It's awesome. I mean, it really is awesome. Wow, look at the shoulders on that thing.
So I've found the best way to release them is just
Shoot them straight
shoot
down.
them
Give 'em
straight
that
down.
Fresh water or salt
So-
water. Fresh salt water.
We'll try to do that right here. Ready?
Off you go.
That was a 3.3. Yeah, it wasn't a good dive. The Russian judge gave him a 2.12. But he made it down. Way to go, man.
For years now, Tom and I have been using the Lithium Pro batteries on everything that we have, from our little skiffs to the biggest boats we have, and it really makes a huge difference, both lighter weight, faster charge, longer life, just all kinds of advantages of the lithium batteries. But Lithium Pro stepped it up even bigger this year and came out with a brand new 36-volt battery that we use, and it has a lot of improvements. Number one, it has an LCD screen that shows you your battery life, so there's no more guessing. You can just press a little button on the battery itself and see, okay, you have 50% left or 60% left. It really shows you all kinds of information, the temperature of the battery, all kinds of stuff. But what I'm looking for is just how much life's left in that battery. That's a great feature. But even one step better, Lithium Pros has a NEMA 2000 cable hookup that hooks directly to the battery, and then that feeds into my entire network system, so I can read all that battery information right on my GPS screens and really know what's going on. So now I can just have it set up on my screen with all my other instrumentations. I can see the percentage of battery, I can see the amps. It's really great. All that information is right there, and I can even set an alarm to warn me if I get down to like 10% battery life. So great setup, really a big improvement. I think Lithium Pros is the only one that has this NEMA 2000 cable setup on their battery, so that's a big improvement. Lithium Pros already had the best battery on the market by far, but now with these new improvements, the best just keeps on getting better.
The Hawks K Saltwater Experience, presented by Yellowfin, is brought to you by Yellowfin, only in a Yellowfin. Hook. Tackle Direct, the world's premier fishing outfitter. Yeti. And by Burno and Rod Holders. Wiley X. Nikon. Buff. Lithium Pros. And Golden Boat Lifts.
But there's so many different types of fish on these wrecks, and after we caught 3 or 4 of these big amberjacks and everybody had their fill of getting their exercise for the day, Brandon had the idea, said, let's catch something for dinner. We'd pretty much released everything throughout the day, and that's the beautiful thing about here in the Keys is we have options. You want food fish, we got that. You want hard fights, we got that. You want something beautiful, we got everything you could want. And he had something in particular in mind. He wanted a mutton snapper for dinner.
This is definitely one of my favorite things to do this time of year.
This area where we are, we've fished there before, we've caught big mutton snappers there before. They are there, but you got to fish for them in a certain way, and Brandon put on a really, really, really long leader. I mean, I think he was fishing like a 60 or 70 foot leader of fluorocarbon, pure fluorocarbon, and he gets that down there with a goggle eye, and he's just fishing it in a certain way that he is staying right on the bottom, and he knows that's the fish that he's going to get.
You got him, Brando? He's eating it?
Eating it, eating it.
We were drifting for a while.
Got him.
Is that a red one?
I'm not 100% sure.
Tell me if I should drift. You got him on? What do you think that one is?
I think it's a mutton snapper.
Really?
Boy, a mutton snapper would be just perfect.
Yeah, it was, it's really cool to see somebody get excited about something. And I mean, not that he wasn't excited about everything we caught all day long, but you could tell when he hooked that mutton, he knew what he was trying to get. He rigged up differently. He dropped down specifically to catch a mutton snapper. And I mean, even though we were in the same spot where we'd caught all the jacks and the kingfish and everything else, hadn't moved, he wanted to try the technique was a little different bait, being on the bottom, not up the top, and a longer leader. And sure enough, when he got that bite, he called a shot. He's like, oh, that's a mutton, that's a mutton. And I'm like, I'm thinking about all these other things it could have been, and sure enough, it floats up. You can see that beautiful red-orange color and a big mutton snapper for dinner.
Oh, that's a nice fish, dude. Whoa! That's a big fish.
Done.
Wow, that's a big one.
Holy smokes.
Dude. Brando, what an awesome fish,
Wow.
man. That is amazing. That's a fantastic
Wow.
one. Good work. Yes. Yes.
He's on
That is awesome, man.
That's great, man.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that thing pretty?
Good work. I think we're gonna have some tacos.
Absolutely. We're eating good tonight.
Well, we got our workout and our dinner, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's great, man. So that one's not going back in the water.
This one's not going. This one's going in the box.
That's
boys.
great.
That's it, boy. Let's do it. Here, we can put it right here. Did you know you can get every episode of Saltwater Experience completely free on Waypoint TV? Go to waypointtv.com and find out how you can download the app or find it on any smart TV. And if that's not enough, you can find the Tom Rowland podcast on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you find podcasts. And we'd love to have you as a follower on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Nice, beautiful mutton for the dinner plate tonight.
Love it.
You can't do any better than a mutton.
No, you can't.
That one's awesome. All right, man. Take us home, dude.